that there are critics, as you know, that say that this policy is transphobic.
Yeah, you're the critic, lady. You're the critic. And this is where it's so absurd in this whole thing. Now, I'm going to put this one aside. I want to say my guest, Lauren Southern, is here to join us. Lauren, thanks for joining and welcome.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Absolutely. Now, we met each other for the first time at the Million Person March in Vancouver, and that was fantastic. It was a lot of people came out to that. It was a bigger showing actually than I thought I was going to see in one of the wokest cities in all of Canada. It turns out that's not the wokest city. It turns out Victoria is, because they actually got shut down at that location. But welcome to the show. Thanks for taking the time again. Big fan of your work that you've been doing over the years. I don't know how you've had the stomach to deal with some of the stuff you've dealt with, and banned from countries. Holy cow, over it.
3 right now. We're running up those numbers. But yeah, it was great to meet everyone out at the march. It's been a while since I've gone and done any sort of protest at the art gallery. I actually think the Million March for Children protest was a lot bigger than even we could perceive from the ground, definitely bigger than what the media described. There was a phenomenon going on that I saw where you have like the people that were coming to the Parent March. These are real working individuals. They've got a life. They're out here. They've obviously got children. That's why they care. So they don't usually have the time to go out and be protesting and marching and making signs. They have real lives. Meanwhile, on the other side, you have these insane veterans of protest, the Antifa LARPers. They've got their costumes ready, their umbrellas ready, everything. They've been showing up to this stuff for 10 plus years. Some of the Antifa recognized me from my protest marches I went to 10 years ago at the art gallery, right? I'm like, whoa.
How many things
like,
you show up for? Yeah, either you're a reporter or you're a professional activist, a professional activist. I mean, this is what we've seen with these union types. And since I've been covering this since about the Freedom Convoy time, this is when everything started happening for me on this channel. I've noticed the same faces over this time, over and over and over again. Obviously a bunch of them mask themselves up, but when it comes to like union leaders that are involving themselves in all of these things, it seems like that's their job instead of standing up for the rights of workers as they purport to be doing.
Yeah, and it was kind of weird and creepy because you think they like grow up or get over it. It was kind of running into those people. It was kind of like, oh, like it's been 10 years and you're still doing this childish stuff. It's like running into someone who's still going to high school parties in their late 20s. It's like, oh, that's a little weird. Like at least I'm on the side of the normal, regular people showing up to defend their kids, not the people doing this LARP parade. But what I was going to say is like, I saw a lot of parents when the crowds gathered at the beginning, when it was being organized in Vancouver, and when they gathered at the end, they just got out of there. They left with their kids because they were like, this is dangerous. There are clearly a bunch of crazy people with horns, drums, they're screeching, they're trying to hit people with umbrellas. This is not a safe spot for my kids. So you have these activists that are insane, that are pressurizing this situation with parents who all kind of marched down to the street, but they leave to keep their kids safe. And then the media, apologies, I've got family watching my
Family's what we're all about here, so
kids,
that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
So you have like these normal people that are leaving the march to keep their kids safe, and then you have these crazy orc horde activists that are taking over any spot where it's still, and the media snap all of their pictures when everyone's in these still spots, when the normal people, the people with kids certainly, have left for the most part. So I think a lot of the reports saying that the Million March for Children was way overwhelmed by activists are not necessarily accurate. There were a lot of paid activists, there were a lot of veteran activists, and then there were a lot of normal people who were scared away, unfortunately, from making their voices heard. So I don't know if you'd agree with that analysis.
Well, I would agree, but I just want to know where you come from this, because I don't know where you're getting your information. I'm getting my information from some union sources where I heard that they were actually paying people salary to be there for the day. Like, hey, I know maybe you had a day off, or maybe you don't want to work the day. Here, go to this protest and we'll pay you for the day, like straight from the union. So I was hearing reports of that. What were you hearing?
I was actually told that on the ground as well. There was an Indian media source that came up to me, and they were saying that and asking me for more detail on it. I don't necessarily, that's not unheard of for unions, but I'm kind of talking about what I saw on the ground. Like, I saw a lot of parents show up to where the gathering was happening, and because it had been taken over an hour before the march was even starting by these Antifa activists, I did see a lot of people, they showed up like, what, 2-3 hours?
Yeah, because I was there.
A lot of people leave.
Yeah,
they showed up and left.
I was there when it went down because I looked at the flyer, and the flyer said like meet up at 11 or something, and then it was kind of confusing. The march ended up being at 1, so I thought, okay, well, I guess we'll meet up, and I was there with my wife and my 2 children. Like I took my kids out of school. I took the day off work. It cost me money. You know what I mean? You're not going to get, activists there that are, I mean, you said they're professional activists. This is what they do. They're paid for it. And, I get to this place, and right away there was only like a dozen or so people there. And we were just kind of, feeling it out. Are we going to be a part of this? I don't know. What's happening? Is there parents at all? It didn't seem like a lot. And then the Antifa guys came up with their black everything on it, black umbrellas. I don't know what the umbrella is about. I have no clue what that's all about. Maybe it's just an excuse to have a prodding weapon nearby if and then the police can't say that you have something. But they came in and they just started shouting and being aggravating to these 12 or so people that were just sitting around. And then me and my wife and children were like, okay, we went over to the sport check and waited it out because we didn't want to. Exactly. That was the phenomenon that was going on. And it made me so sad because you have these people that, like I said, they don't have a ton of time to be protesting. They don't usually care enough because they aren't crazy schizo activists always online like these individuals. Yeah.
And they finally take some time out of their day to go and stand up for something meaningful and have their voices heard. And these are the real people working and supporting the Canadian economy whose voices should matter. And they just got shouted down. And if there was any right to protest in Canada, the second those Antifa activists surrounded the stage where the speakers were supposed to be, the event was supposed to be happening, and started bringing, like, you had union tents there with loudspeakers shouting it down, screaming, pulling signs, all of it, the police should have gotten rid of them. And we know for sure if this had happened at a Pride March and a bunch of right-wing activists or whatever came to shut down the Pride March, which they wouldn't because they generally believe in free speech, the police would haul them out of there in a mere second. But no, there was kind of I respect the police for keeping people safe, of course. Thank you very much for that, you guys. But I do feel there's a double standard there that never would have been seen the other way around.
Well, absolutely. And there was the case of that one guy that was an agitator, and I had the thing queued up here. Let's see if I can find it. I had a few different videos. You're not going to hear the audio on your end. The audience will, but you can see the visuals here. But this was the scene in Vancouver from the eyes of the media as this was going down.
Police did their best to keep the two groups separated, though tensions boiled over in Vancouver, where one man was handcuffed and taken away.
Yeah.
Police did
that guy was weird. There was something real sus about that dude. I'm telling you right now. We talked about this briefly.
Yeah, well, I'm going to tell you how sus this was. In fact, there was other footage from this Coastal Front on YouTube. I'm not sure where they stand on it, but they have footage of the same guy. I wonder if it's right about here. So he comes in and just starts swinging at these Antifa types. And he was not with anybody else. He was not with anyone. And yeah, I wonder who this guy is at all. Now, on that tweet thread, I posted my videos. Now, this was from my perspective. He came walking from down the street, shouting, saying words that I wouldn't say. But like, bad words.
I heard him shouting by me as well.
Yeah. So all of this, and he comes up and he was not part of the group. He's not part of anything. And immediately I was like, this is sus. I'm going to pull out my camera. Now, by the time anything happened, we'd pieced out of there. So I went and I brought my kids somewhere else with my wife and then came back later.
Mm-hmm. As many people did. After you took that video, he actually walked right by me. So there was the people that were on the Million March for Children side, the Antifa, and I was kind of between them trying to get footage of both. And he made a beeline right by me towards the Antifa folk, screaming obscenities that would absolutely start a fight in any space, right? And you know, I will say, I don't know how conspiratorial your audience are, but it is absolutely a thing, whether it's super common or not. It is absolutely a thing. I've seen it happen before. I've seen people do it where people are paid to go and instigate, cause issues, get arrested. Maybe they're mentally ill. Maybe they're being paid for by organized activist groups. This is a real thing. I can't say for sure whether this was the case in this situation, but it is a very real phenomenon that fights are started on purpose to cause political chaos, to get the right footage, to get the right narrative. And we don't know any information about this guy. Has it been put out in the media at all? Like his background, history yet? Nothing?
Zero.
That's real odd.
Oh, someone's going to screen cap that. Me doing the zero.
Yeah. Especially with me on screen.
Yeah. Oh, I'm done now. I'm never getting into Australia.
Over. It's Jover.
Too funny. But yeah, no, I honestly believe like my thoughts, my knee-jerk reaction to this whole thing was this guy, he came out of nowhere, but right at the right time. Right as the Antifa guys had just come over, and they were there only like not even a minute or 2 minutes, and he came in and he starts a fight. And then the news media gets that footage. They didn't roll with anything of the footage you and I both got of the march and the people that were involved in the march. And again, not a lot of just white faces in the crowd. It was ethnically diverse just as much as Canada is.
On one side, anyways.
Yeah, on one side. Yeah, not so much on the other. No, I get that. I did when before the march happened. I didn't get footage of it, but I saw that they had a stage, the counter protest, and they had things going up, and one of the speakers was up there, and she was just saying like F the police, F all police are bastards, and all of this stuff. And it's like, what? What?
The best part too is when I was there, some Antifa chick was getting in my face. She was real obsessed with me, saying she had been following my life for years. She knew exactly who I was and kept like incessantly harassing me. So I just touched her shoulder and said, I gotta go, God bless, I'm leaving. Starts shrieking, to the heavens, and calls over a police officer to report me for assault.
Oh.
Antifa's strongest warriors over here.
Oh,
the only reason saying God bless to someone would be an assault is if you're a demon and you're like actually physically being, harmed by the phrase God bless or, holy water or something. So I'm not really sure what you told this cop, but he seemed to roll his eyes a bit, luckily. But it's just so funny. You always get that contrast of F the police, F the state, F the government. And meanwhile, the entire media complex, the entire government complex, the education system are all on your side, and you're asking the police to arrest your opponents and enemies. All very the usual rigmarole with these folk.
So and I saw a lot of communist flags in the in the group, and they use a new communist flag because the hammer and sickle, there's not a lot of the proletariat using hammers and sickles these days. There's what is it, it's a wheat chaff and a gear. I don't see a lot of them working day jobs either. I haven't met a communist in a day job ever once, and I've had a lot of day jobs.
Right.
So
a lot of middle managers, ironically, funny enough.
that is pretty funny. But yeah, there's not a lot of,
or no job at all.
Well, and they do kind of represent Karl Marx, because apparently he was a big lazy prick and he didn't do much of anything anyway. And in fact, what was it in his life? It was Engels that kept him afloat with legacy money that he had from his family.
Yep.
Good on you, Marx, for doing such a fantastic job. Too bad he created this meme, and in the sense of like the Richard Dawkins meme of mind virus that's infected humanity. It's really been long lasting. What were you gonna say?
Have you ever seen Stalin's letters? A gay man wrote Stalin once, and I can't even repeat what he wrote in his letter back, but it was something along the lines of like, you degenerate scum deserve to die or something. So never ask a communist what their leaders actually think of gay people, especially when they're at an LGBT rally holding the hammer and sickle. They might be a little upset to hear some of their heroes' thoughts on that.
I don't remember the date on the letter, but there was a letter between Marx and Engels where Marx was talking at length about the Jews and about black people. And yeah, it was, let's say, not flattering in the lightest. Yeah, not very flattering. So yeah, they didn't think very highly of the people that they were just seeking power. I mean, people
that are now championing their causes, and yeah.
Well, and you can tell the ones that have God complexes because they try to look like, you know, Yahweh in some way, you know, the fictions. Anyway, that's my take on communists, and I'm sticking to it with that. There's not many good ones out there. I think what was the recent thing that I heard that was really funny? There's no common sense if you're a communist. I thought that was really good. That's a good slogan.
Yeah, well, that's for sure.
But so yeah, this protest went on and it took place, and I was really astonished by the showing of it. Now, you've been to a lot of these things, and you were talking about like running into these types over the years. What has been your sort of experience? Because we've seen what you've done on camera, but there's obviously so much that takes place not on camera when you go to these protests, and you've been to many different types of protests for many different issues, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's not uncommon for these counter protesters to show up. I've been to, the free speech protests in Berkeley. I've been to May Day in Europe. Those ones are crazy. The Europeans don't mess around. At the very least, when they say they're anti-state, they're actually, sticking to it. They're firebombing police. They're actually in these proper battles. In Canada, it is a massive LARP. It's all of these people that just want to get pictures for their Instagram, literally dress up. Like, people were literally in costumes to this thing, and they just want to scream at those on the other side. So they're definitely not as serious as the European protesters, but I will give it to them. They were very organized. There was some serious money behind this event. There were union organizers. Jagmeet Singh himself was showing up to this, right?
Yeah.
This was a serious political counter-protest, which once again, in itself is a really crazy thing to do, because a protest is just supposed to be people having their voices heard. If you want to do a counter to it, if you want to promote a cause, do your event on another day and have your voice heard, and let that be louder if that is the result. But the purpose of this was to ensure it was utter chaos. It was to ensure that people on the street taking footage of this could not tell what was going on, that it would be so annoying, the bells, the whistles, everything, no one could get their message out. The purpose was the suppression of freedom to protest, which unfortunately is not a new thing in Canada lately. But even when you saw the photos taken by the media that said, like, march completely overwhelmed by counter-protesters, it was a picture of the counter-protesters completely mixed in with the parents and the Million March for Children people. And you had, gays against groomers there with their pride flags that the unknowing eye would look at and think, well, these people must all be counter-protesters. There must be no support for this parental rights movement. That was the entire purpose of this counter-protest organization, was to cause so much confusion that the media could then spin it as essentially, no parents, you're all alone. There's no one supporting you. You are so overwhelmed, don't even try. It was a exercise in loss of hope for the average Canadian citizen, and they did it very effectively. And it's very disgusting, in my opinion. Just a vile display of anti-free speech, anti-freedom to protest, all of it.
Well, yeah, I mean, they backsliding of democracy. They keep hearing that from Trudeau. Mm-hmm. That is the backsliding of democracy. This and they're a cult. I mean, it's disgusting. And like you said, they show up at all these protests, no matter what it is. It's against the common folks. Now, what do you think though of the results of it? Do you think that it was successful? Because I chalked it up as largely a success in the way that like it's motivated people to want to stand up and say this stuff is crazy. Like, what are you doing? You're telling kids that parents should be able not be allowed to hear about what their kids are doing with teachers, and teachers can be like, we're just gonna have our little secret, kids, and then talk about sexual things. This is off the wall ridiculous. Like, this is beyond the, like, we want to talk about biology, and some like Christians are like, no biology will enter my household. You know, this is like, no, that's not.
It's like kids, anyone who tells you, children, anyone who tells you, don't tell your parents, they're the bad guy. Anyone who's telling kids, don't tell your parents. That's a scary thing, right? And that's these teachers right now. Don't tell your parents. And we're talking about people in grade 1, grade 2 that I just recently saw something on Twitter of a class in Halifax. They were being made, this is 5 and 6 year olds, being made to choose their pronouns for the day, as if they have any capacity to even understand the politics behind this, the grooming that's going on.
They don't even know what a pronoun is. They haven't even gotten to that part of English. You know what I know.
How can you pick your pronoun and pick what your next gender is going to be if you don't even have an understanding of what your gender is now? And they don't. Truly, you don't really understand what it is to come into your gender until sex, whatever it is, until after puberty. That's when people really start getting an understanding of, okay, this is what womanhood is. This is what being a man is, right? It takes a long time to figure these things out. So let's not be playing switcheroos until we've got, you know, our bearings of the basics, at least, you know.
Lauren, the other day I was riding my bike to work. I ride my bike to work. I have an electric bike. I'm great for the environment. No, it's just cheaper and I can save on insurance this way. But I have an electric bike and I ride to work. And the other day I was on my way and there was a new giant flag in front of the preschool that I sent my daughter to years ago. And it was the new flag, the new inclusive flag, you know, that has the new chevrons and the new circle on it. And that's what I see on the front door of a preschool where I was expecting to send my son to next year. I'm not going to. This is where 4-year-olds go. Like this, I need to get this through people's heads. Like 4-year-olds don't need to know about sex and gender and all of this stuff. They just need to, like, yeah, have the rainbow flag, because the rainbow flag is just, kids love rainbows. They love colors and all that stuff. But that is a particularly like charged ideological flag. And then to have it so large in obviously it was only after these protests took place. I mean, I got personally an email from CUPE that said that this hateful group is doing this big protest across Canada and they're right wing and all this, you know, all the epithets. And this is what, like, some people believe this stuff, but why are we doing this to kids? Like little kids. This is how far it's going.
Yeah. And the only reason you're telling any young child, like particularly, like you said, toddlers, elementary school, about politics, I don't care if it's right wing or left wing, is for the sake of grooming. Like, I am not going to be running around telling toddlers, even my own, like, hey, you know, God King Trump, the best. Like, no, like that is not a conversation for toddlers. They need to be talking about Paw Patrol. All right. We need to be having more conversations with kids about Chase, about Octonauts, not about all of these political issues that they do not remotely have the capacity to understand. One other thing I wanted to bring up that I thought was very ironic is, I don't know if you know much about my past and what I've done, but
I followed you for years, so I know quite a bit. Yeah.
It was funny to find myself on the side of a protest with a bunch of Muslim families, because I've always had quite a criticism of mass migration, you know, not having similar values with Western values. And we're having a very interesting kind of tearing at the seams of the social fabric of Canada, the end result of mass immigration and mass liberalism and indoctrination in schools, where it's almost at the question, what's going to win out? Is it going to be this mass progressive indoctrination, or is it going to be immigration? Because most of the immigrants coming in are not, most of the world outside of the West have not come on board with kind of more insane progressive 72 genders stuff. They'll laugh at you if you suggest any of these things in their countries. So as we have open borders, and as we have no identity in Canada whatsoever, we're a post-national state, as Trudeau says, or a cultural mosaic, and certain sections of this mosaic get bigger than the progressive kind of Western part of the mosaic. Well, what's going to win out? Are we going to, you know, be having transgenderism banned under Sharia law, or are we going to be having Miss Mohammed teaching the children to dilate? Like, it's a very strange future for Canada that we're facing as we see this social fabric tear more and more. And it's two-pronged. It's the mass immigration. And I've nothing but respect for the Muslim parents that came out to that march, by the way, so long as they hold the same view that I do, which is I don't want to force anything on your kids if you don't want to force anything on mine. We are on the same team, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But there still is this big question of these are completely contradictory ideologies that are both, very extreme in how they approach it. And Canada is pumping up both of them through open borders policy and through mass indoctrination in schools with things like SOGI. What is the game plan here, Trudeau? What is the game plan here, Canada? Because it's looking like a lot more conflict.
Well, I think they're tearing at all kinds of different corners to try to get a little. I mean, like when it comes to the immigration thing, I think they're doing it. A lot of people have the argument that it's a demographic shift thing. Maybe there's something to that, but I think what it largely is there's a massive decline in population, and they don't want to be the government that's left holding the buck when the unfunded liabilities of our social programs end up coming to fruition. So they want to bring in more tax base and keep bringing those taxpayers in no matter what they can do. And I mean, that's one approach to it. And, this multifaceted thing that's going on here. Mm-hmm. But I think, when it comes to Muslims, there are, the extreme elements of that. But I grew up around a lot of Muslims, like from Turkey and some other places, Iran, Iranians that like fled before the whole Ayatollah situation, and I like Windsor, Ontario is such a diverse group of people. Tons of kids in my school were Muslim, and I never would have known it until we talked about it privately, not in school. And this is the thing, and I think that there's a huge amount of Muslim Canadians that they want to be like 1970s Iran Muslim, you know what I mean, like that kind of Muslim. They're not big fans of what they left.
But here's the thing though, is if you ask them their views and they just have, because a lot of them just have normal views of like, no, I don't want my kid to be made transgender. No, like, I don't think this stuff should be in schools. They're still considered bigots. It's still considered bigoted today, right? But yeah, it is, I am finding it very funny that I really spent a lot of time kind of praising Western liberal ideology as the superior ideology in the world. And there still are aspects of it that I do praise. And now I'm kind of looking at the rest of the world that for so long we portrayed as lagging behind. And when you have run a train straight off into crazy town, lagging behind isn't the worst thing in the world. That's just, staying kind of with the basics, right?
Yeah.
So there's definitely I'm finding myself, I still think our immigration numbers are absolutely insane.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Causing inflation and the housing prices. It's, none of our infrastructure is keeping up, even if there is the ridiculous suggestion that, they're going to build all the new homes. The numbers don't add up. There's just not the infrastructure in this country to keep up.
What I've said is,
and the immigrants here now agree with me.
Of course they do. And I have more of an opinion like Japan does. My wife's from Japan, and we lived there for some time, and they're doing things completely different. They don't want a massive influx of population from other countries because they enjoy their homogenous society for the most part, and they want to leave it that way. So what they've done is they've implemented new rules because they're facing the facts that their population shrinking, and in population decline there needs to be massive austerity measures, and they're doing it ahead of time, and they're doing it in ways that won't drastically affect their population all at once. And this whole idea of kicking the can down the road, think of it later, whatever, the next guy who gets in office, he'll deal with it. That's wrong. We need to be preparing for what's coming. And right now, they just won't even acknowledge what's down the road. Like, there's some serious problems that we're about to run into. Like, not Ukraine, not Russia, not that stuff. We got our own problems.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And it's crazy because we'll like portray it as if we're doing some humanitarian thing. I'm sorry. We have international students sleeping in tents right now outside their school because they can't find housing.
That's insane.
But we're not doing them any favors. We're importing a slave scab labor class. That's what's happening here. And, you go to any Walmart, you go to any Tim Hortons, you go to any of the low end jobs in our society, and you've got all of this immigrant labor from India that are being exploited to drive the prices down, are having to live with 10 people in one apartment in Vancouver. This is not some humanity. And then once again, the infrastructure is getting overwhelmed. The locals can't find housing. And then many of my friends that are now getting to the age where they want to have kids, they're already married, you know, they're preparing for that. They're not having kids because they're like, we can't afford housing. We can't afford a home that would allow us to have children. We're in a 1-bedroom right now, barely scraping by making rent, and one of us can't stop working. So we're preventing the current population from having children while trying to import more people to solve that problem. And the whole thing's a disaster. Like you were saying with Japan, like create policies to bolster the current population and encourage having children within the current population. Don't completely lock off immigration. That's crazy. But our levels are some of the highest in the world per capita. It's Delulu.
We have a million more people than we thought we had. You know, census data said we had 40 million, and it turns out we got 41 million. They just miscounted a million. Where do you get a million people?
But hey, the one benefit, like I said, is these people are going to want none of this soji stuff in schools.
Oh,
so
yeah, I'm
I guess
with them.
if they're going to keep doing it, we might as well focus on the positives.
Okay, I'm going to get
more marchers in the street.
I'm going to get to some of these super chats. People are leaving super chats. We got Rainmaker saying, Lamau, when Lauren passed her live stream to you doing the march. Good to see Lauren is still fighting. You did a great job. Oh yeah, that's right. I became the streamer.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm dyslexic and it's really difficult for me. If there's typos and stuff, I just get lost in it. Totally bad. A guy that reads the news on the internet is dyslexic. Yeah, it's a thing. But yeah, BC Salty Soldier. Paul R saying, yay, Lauren, thanks for coming by. I really appreciate that. That's awesome. Thank you.
Cheers.
Mr. Rosso Pico with a $5 super chat says, he tried to get in my face, and another guy in the orange shirt was also trying to start a fight with me. So this guy's obviously there and saw what was going down. Yeah, lots of stuff that Steve's Hyde says, that guy reminds me of a crazy guy I saw in Ottawa at the start of the pandemic. He was shouting curse words and slurs going up and down the street. Was that at a protest or just in general?
It's so annoying that you'll have like one actual schizo that's probably like off their meds getting triggered by the fact that you've got a bunch of crazy people with bells and whistles and MK Ultra devices screeching in the streets, you know, goes overboard and starts punching, and then the media all take a photo of them, know nothing of their background, who they are, how they got there. They're like right-winger, violent, bigot. Awesome, we love this. It's kind of like those, I don't know if you've seen the memes where it's like, please let the shooter be white. Like, they want a right-wing person to come in there and start a fight. That's all they want. That's all the media want. And even if they don't know anything about the guy, they're going to portray it like they did with this sus dude we ran into at the march as, you know,
he's not wearing all black. He's obviously with these guys. Yeah, okay, whatever.
Exactly.
Totally.
And they love it. They love it.
Yeah, they do.
Nothing they love more than violence they can spin to cause discord in the population. Sick little demons in the media.
We got another super chat from Almsy, $10 super chat saying, so these special ed left-leaning people that want communism and no police make you wonder, why do they actually think, what do they actually think through before they speak? Yeah, probably not. They are special. Yeah, I'd say so. Ronnie.
Special, the most special.
Most special. Ronnie McDoyo, is that the name? For a $20 super chat says, it's a agnostic cult of the self. I'd agree with that. This is really weird where people's opinions have been coming from. And we can get into that if you want. Rick Clements with a $7.50, oddly specific number, super chat. Have another after work wobbly pop, Clyde. Good stuff. I call them wobbly pops. The people.
What's a wobbly pop?
It's not saying beer, I guess, or whatever. It's just
keeping it kid friendly.
I do. I don't swear in my videos.
Unlike any of the teachers in Canada.
Right. Holy cow. I always have this like when I do my videos, I'm thinking like the people who are watching it are probably on their phone. Their kids are in the room. I'm going to make sure I don't say, you know, I have had to say like earmuffs in my videos where I was showing a clip where somebody was saying something bad. Yuji Tai, I know that name. I met Yuji at the event with a $20 super chat. Great meeting you both at the Million March for Kids. Thank you both for all your amazing work. And Yuji Tai, I just got a package from him. I ordered some coffee from his company. He told me he had a company. So I ordered one package of coffee, and he sent me everything that he has. So I'm like, oh, what a guy.
I love that.
So I'm going to be showing some of that off once I taste it. I definitely will be.
I haven't been doing many live streams, or I've been denying like, all these invites to do shows, everything the last bit, but going out and like meeting some of you people in real life, like local individuals, real people, I'm having a lot more respect for the local scene these days, because I think that's where the real change is going to be made.
Yeah, big time.
Like you say, you're talking to this guy, he's sending you coffee, he's got a local business that can be supported by your followers and other people that are actually coming out in the street. That's awesome. I absolutely love that.
Absolutely. I'm drawing a blank on the company's name. I feel so bad, but I will be showcasing the coffee coming up soon on the channel, because I haven't tasted it yet, but I love seeing people. He wrote me a really beautiful letter that just hit me in the heartstrings. So I'm definitely going to be chilling that out for sure. Vesper Design with a $50 super chat. I know Vesper, good friend of mine. Come on, man. Common men have long known that their job is not to conceive skeptics, but to enable the gullible to continue to believe what they want to believe. Thomas Sowell. Clyde and Lauren expose the common men to the gullible. Don't quit. Absolutely won't be quitting anytime soon. And I'm following in Lauren's footsteps. Even though I'm your elder, you gave me the cojones to just come out and say what I gotta say. Like, I'm not joking. You and others, but no, I really have an affinity for your work, for what you've done, and especially what you've been doing lately. You've really had a way of becoming more candid and more personal with the audience and showing your flaws. And I just like tremendous amount of respect. I'm not trying to just big you up here, but
no, thank you. I appreciate that. I just hope you still have that same energy when we're in a jail cell in 10 years under Trudeau's regime. Okay. For getting you into this.
I'll be doing the clunk, clunk, clunk from down the hall so you can hear me. That's what I'll be doing.
Like, you still happy that I gave you the cojones to speak up?
Yeah, they're still here. Yeah, they're just kind of shrunk.
As long as we get enough people to speak up to, we won't end up in the jail, the Canadian jail, or getting free healthcare in Canada.
Did you hear about that? There was a reporter, and people have been sending me the headline. I haven't read the article, but apparently there was a reporter in England that's been arrested on hate speech charges or misinformation charges for breaking the story of who the Nazi was that they all saluted in the Canadian Parliament.
They're in the UK, you said?
That's what I was reading.
Their laws are pretty stringent there. I mean, all I have to do is look at people that are getting, you have, is it Mackey? I wish I could remember the guy's name. It was the guy who's facing jail time for, I think it's Douglas Mackey, maybe, for posting memes. He's facing like 8-9 years or something. The people that went to jail over the J6 protest that literally just trespassed, had no idea they were trespassing, and they're going to jail for years and years of their life, right? I look at that and I'm like, ooh, it's pretty dangerous to be out here speaking your mind. So,
it really is.
I hope your audience know. I'm sure they do. They know and respect what you're doing and how dangerous it is these days. It really, I never expected it to get to this level when I started. So when people call me brave, I'm like, when I started speaking up, I had no idea what this was all going to become.
Yeah, fair enough. I got into it and started speaking my mind when the trucker convoy happened, and I watched it happen. A channel that I frequent quite often, AVE. Maybe you don't know him. He's another.
I love that channel. I find it so therapeutic.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I've been following him for years, and I've actually communicated with him in the past before this. He's a funny guy from British Columbia, and he. You never see his face. You just hear his vernacular, and it's very Canadian. But he did a video as the truckers were going off at first, and where he actually defaced the toonie with his CNC machine, and carved a truck into it, and it was like a big send off, "Av Adder boys," kind of thing. And I know I'm a dude, but I had a big lump, and I had it really touched me, and I was sitting in my studio, and I have all this stuff. I used to do DIY videos and a bunch of other stuff, but I was looking at I have a camera here and I have all this recording equipment, and I said, I'm doing this. I'm doing it. Forget it. Like, yeah, I'm not holding back. I'm just gonna, because I've been watching this for so long, and I knew that the media was lying right from the get-go, because they tried to play it off as like, this isn't, this is just they're arguing over traffic violations, or traffic in British Columbia. I'm like, that's not what this is about. It's not at all what this is about. They're lying.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to make videos. I don't care if nobody watches them. I'm going to put them out, because in the future, when this all goes to shit and we've got nothing left, I can at least say, well, I tried. I put my hat in the ring. I gotta go back and watch some of your
first videos now, because there's nothing cooler than watching when someone just decides to rip that Band-Aid off and say, you know what? This may completely screw my future, but my kids are on the line, my community is on the line, my country is on the line, and making that decision is a tough one. And I'm sure you've made some sacrifices, and honestly, respect, man. I'm going to go back and watch those. That's very cool.
Well, yeah, put myself on the line. I haven't suffered anything because of it, and that's I mean, it's just
yes.
Yeah, right. But,
I'm sorry. I'm like 3 countries banned down. It took a few years, so you just wait.
It took a little while. So but okay, knock on wood, I got some handy. But it is one of those where I didn't really suffer immediately. I'm a tradesman, so I went to my boss actually before I started doing these videos, and I said, listen, I want to make videos about my political opinion on the internet. What say you? And he's like, do you, man? I'm like, no, you don't understand. He's not like an internet guy. He doesn't hang out on the internet. So he's like, yeah, no, do you? I said, no, man. Like, if people find out who I am, people on the internet are crazy. They might want to who knows, right? They'll try to call a shop and get me fired and stuff. And he's like, you know who answers the phone? I look over at our service writer, and I'm like, okay, they won't get through. That's fine. And yeah, so
that's so cool.
Yeah, he gave me the blessing, and I haven't. Nobody's called the shop. Nobody's looked for me. It's it's a thing. But maybe that's a false sense of security. Maybe it's coming. I don't know. But I'm willing to take that risk.
Yeah, I guess that's good that you've consciously made the decision. You know the stakes. I'm really glad, honestly, that you haven't faced any of that stuff, especially because you've got a family. You don't want to be dealing with some of the issues I've faced. But yeah, it's definitely not something I expected over the years. Every time I travel, every time I go through the border, I'm getting pulled in for questioning sessions. That's just like a regular part of my life now. And there's, I'm flagged all over Europe, banned from multiple countries. I've adjusted my life to make it easier. And there are also aspects I can't talk about, but yeah, you know the stakes. You know the stakes, it sounds like. But I'm glad you're flying under the radar right now.
Yeah.
But still making moves, getting people out there. You had a lot of fans out there that were coming up and saying hello and appreciating your work, making them feel not alone,
It was
that's
actually
the most important job of this, making people feel sane. Like, no, there are other people out here that agree with you. It's not all of Canada that's lost it.
Well, that's what got me going. That's what got me going in the first place, because it was just as the convoy was taking off. It was a buddy of mine's birthday, and we'd gone with this whole COVID thing, and everybody was staying away from each other, and kind of doing the nod, and like, is he really brainwashed or not? I don't know. And because we were all feeling that, right? So we didn't know who we could talk to. And my buddy's like, I saw him in the parking lot, or no, what was it? I saw him in the parking lot a few weeks prior, and I gave him the old like, yeah, so anybody get COVID or not? Because I don't see a lot of it. And he was just, yeah. And
I love those little dances, those little social dances,
right?
To find out if someone's sane or not. It's literally like we're living under a communist regime, and it's like, is he going to report me to the KGB or whatever?
Well, obviously he didn't. But
yeah.
So what was it? He called me up because it was his birthday, and a bunch of us went out to this bar, a local bar, and we all showed up with our masks, like, oh, we're gonna have to do this, and they were like, nah, don't worry about it, just come on in. We sat down, and then as the night went on, we were just like talking like this COVID stuff's bullshit, you know, like, and then the whole table was like getting louder and louder about it. And then other tables started joining us going, yeah, right. And then the waitresses came over, and that's when one of the waitresses put on all the TVs to show the convoy taking off out of British Columbia. This was at the end of January in 2022. Wow. And then all of us were just like, yeah, this is done. I'm done with this. It's over, right? So I woke up with a massive hangover the next day. And then the day after that, I got to actually saying my piece on the internet. But yeah, it is a thing. Now, you've come out recently, your 3-hour special. That was a few months ago now. I listened to the whole thing. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people listen to parts of it because it's 3 hours, a lot of time to be sitting in the woods.
It's a long one. I'm surprised anyone watched it.
Yeah, telling a story. But what I found remarkable was like how you were able to do the things that all creators don't do, and there's like this secret thing of like, you never speak ill of another creator. You never say like, this is, you know what I'm saying. You can't. You know, everyone's trying not to burn bridges, but everyone's also trying to like, I don't want drama and I don't want any of this. You somehow managed to pull it off in a way that didn't feel like drama, but just felt like, here's my side of the story, take it or leave it. This is, you know, from this moment, you won't hear me talk about it again. I'm moving on. And sorry if I'm getting you to talk about it again. I'm not getting you to talk about the particulars of it, but like, what drew that mood from you at that point that you just like, I need to clear the air and start a whole new chapter in my life?
I've got a big problem in media, and that's that I unfortunately still have a conscience. It's my biggest downfall when it comes to trying to become an internet creator, or a really big one anyways. And like, it bothered me for years and years and years that I just hadn't told my side of the story, and I felt there was all of this corruption that had gone on in the background of politics that a lot of people just didn't see, because a lot of people that get into political media, particularly dissident media, they truly are just looking for an honest voice. They want normal people that are like them, just telling it as it is. And there is a massive aspect of alternative media that is seeing a way to, you know, profit off these people and their pain, and feeling like they don't have a say or a voice for them in this world. And there is a large part of it that is corrupt, and, you know, people blackmailing each other to stay in these positions. And this is why all politics gets corrupted. In the grander scheme of politics, you know, big government, big media, it is what I spoke about in my Whole Truth video to the 10,000 times the degree, right? People are holding insane blackmail, like Epstein Island tier blackmail over each other's heads, forcing them to vote certain ways, forcing bills to be passed so that someone's getting trickle down money from the big guy, you know. And that if you don't talk about it on a smaller level, the corruption that is going on, the blackmailing that's going on, the lies and deceit, then you just become exactly what you're fighting against. And, you know, I'm far from a perfect person, but I think in that case, even keeping my mouth shut about the times I had been slighted for the sake of keeping the peace and keeping the career and keeping the connections, that in itself is not a very good thing to do and not a very noble thing to do. And I just really felt the need to, get it off my chest, because it bothered me. It kept me up at night for years on end, and that kind of stuff. It kind of sounds like with you and needing to put your voice out there about what you were seeing around you with COVID and the truckers and the protests. Eventually you get this feeling in you that if you don't speak your mind now and put it out there, it's always going to be this nagging feeling in the back of your head that you didn't do the right thing.
No, I totally get that, and I can totally empathize with the whole narrative here of like, you know, just for me, it's hard for me to lie. I'm a shitty liar. Like I'm just a shitty liar in general. So I've always looked at it this way. Like if something goes on, just come clean about it, or something happens, or if I mess up, I just come clean about it. I do this in my mechanic job, by the way. This is my way of looking at it. If I mess up some little thing and I tell the service writers like, yeah, no, it wasn't me, it just came broken like that. It was like, then I'll eventually be known as the guy that like, he's bullshitting me, he broke that thing or whatever. But then one day, there'll be this one thing that comes in and all the arrows are pointing at you. It looks like you, but you totally didn't do it. And it's really expensive and all of this stuff. And then you say, it wasn't me. It totally wasn't me. That's when you need people to trust you. So why would you waste it on all these stupid little things that are inconsequential and no one's really going to get butthurt about or anything? Like, just don't waste it. Don't waste your trust, because that's all you have at the end of the day. All you have is trust. You've got your word. And then what else are you? I'm a dude in a hat with glasses and headphones on the internet. You know what I mean? Like, that's all I am to anybody at that point. So once you have, if you have that trust with your community and you have that way about you that you're not going to BS people, then you are trustworthy. And that's what I got from that video that you put out. I really did that with that one. And then subsequently your trad wife one, which was really personal. And that was a really tough one to put out, because like you really, I could see the struggles with even your inner moral compass to like, what should I do in this situation? I'm telling people to do this, but this is the way it went down for me. And for you to come clean, it was just like, it felt like, wow, nobody does that. That's so refreshing.
It was really hard for me. I won't lie. That one was very difficult for me to do, but it took this colossal weight off my shoulders. There are so many people that I know in the media world, and obviously myself for a long period, that live, incongruently. They've got, the media mask, and then they've got the personal mask. And one of two things is going to happen. You're either going to become the false self that you've created for the media, or you make them congruent at some point, or you lose your mind. You can't live in two different worlds. You just can't, right? You can't have two different faces. And I think that's why there actually is such a phenomenon of drug addiction in media in general, because it's people that they want to retain their real personal self, but they've created a false image that is their income, it's their bread and butter, it's their ego, it's they have to keep that alive. Maybe their family love that version of them, their friends love that version of them, but it's incongruent, and so they do drugs to make it easier to keep the two alive.
You're making me think
but eventually it destroys your mental health. Yeah,
you're making me think of Robin Williams. That's the name that pops into mind when I hear what you're describing here. Yeah, I mean, he lived as a performer his whole life, and he would never turn off. He was just always on. I know people who personally have met him, and he's just on all the time and trying to keep up with that. And it's a caricature. It's not your real person, and that can lead to like tons of mental anguish like inside. And I can definitely like understand that. This is why I try to be as real as possible throughout all of this. Like, I'm not trying to be some other guy. I'm just, I'm a dude. I'm in my garage. I talk about the things I care about, and I'm able to talk like, maybe I've got the gift of gab, right? And I'm able to talk at length about the things that I care about, and I'll just put that out there. I don't try to put on a persona, and I feel sorry for people that have to, or they feel that they have to. I don't think people necessarily have to. I mean, you as I would both know, it's sometimes difficult to get out of your skin at first. At first maybe you're kind of shy and I'm not going to talk very loud or things like that. But at the end of the day, like, eventually you'll be making videos where you're talking to the camera like you're talking to your friends or whatever, and I think that's what I strive for, not being something that I'm not. I think that can be so damaging to a person.
Well, what's crazy is like it's fun talking about this phenomenon in the media world, but really this is what we're all being asked to do on a civilizational level. Everyone's being faced with this challenge. Like, are you going to say that a 6-year-old can switch their gender or not at the expense of your job? And people are being asked to create a false self that believes this and pretends this is true for the sake of the what has become our civilizational narrative in the Western world. And it's this great test. Are we all going to create these false selves that walk around like we are in a communist, nation or fascist nation where we all have to put on the uniform and keep up the act? Or are people going to let the real self inside win? And I do not believe for a second, maybe a few, but for the most part, I don't believe that the vast majority of Canadians agree with a lot of the more absurd progressive ideology. I just don't. I think a lot of them think it's very silly. I think a lot of people thought most of the COVID stuff was very silly. But they've become so good at masking and muffling their real self inside and their real feelings to protect themselves from pain, to protect themselves from social judgment and maybe the positions, the money, the promotions, the friend groups that they've idolized, that they're willing to completely muffle and kill their own individual spirit for the sake of the false self. And we're all being asked to do that every day and in every little moment and decision we make 24/7, whether you're an internet creator or not. It might just be a little more of a high stakes game when you've got the internet false self, blasted out to hundreds of thousands of people.
I hadn't considered that. Yeah, people are putting on a persona just to be in public and pretend certain things. I know. It was at first. I guess it was like, do you like Donald Trump? How could you like Donald Trump? What are you? Like people either do or don't. Who cares, right? Like it should be inconsequential what candidate you voted for or whatever. Like these things shouldn't matter. But more and more politics have been getting more and more entrenched in everybody's personal lives to the point where they're actually tearing families apart. And you're not allowed to be the pro family person. You're not allowed to be the pro or against tearing society apart person. You're supposed to like be okay with that and foot that bill, toe that line. There's no way. There's absolutely no way. And like I said, I'm a shitty liar. I'm just so bad. I'm so bad at putting on a persona for other people that I don't know. As a kid, I'm the youngest of 8 kids, by the way, like tons of kids in my family. And I've always been the black sheep because I've always been the one to just say like what it is as it is. Like every family's got their little white lies,
Yeah.
Dudes, yeah, whatever. But I'll just come out and say whatever because I can't stand it. I hate the lies. I'm not gonna toe other people's lies for them just to save from having an argument once in a blue moon. Whatever. Deal with it. You don't like my opinion? You put on the face. Thank you very much. I've always kind of had that opinion. It's getting me into a lot of trouble, or it's gotten me into a lot of trouble over the years. But
I love that little quote, or the people put out memes of it. It's like, I love the 3 a.m. version of people most. The version of people at the bar, telling you their deepest, darkest secrets that they never tell anyone, their biggest vulnerabilities. I actually very much like most people I meet. I like most liberals, progressives I meet. I like most immigrants I meet. I like most right-wingers I meet. No matter how far right or left, I tend to like most people. And most of them have a very unique story for why they got to that point. I have seen toddlers and little babies that are parts of families of, criminals, terrorists, sitting there running around happy, and that person's going to grow up one day and be a part of that family, and everyone's going to have their opinions about why they became what they became, but they've got a very unique story. And I think if we all talked about everyone's unique story and the things we were taught growing up, why we came to these beliefs, and we spoke about them openly without judgment, we could unfracture, if that's a word. We could get rid of a lot of the fracturing in society, but we're not even allowed to have the conversation. And that's what all of this is about. It's about whether we can even have that conversation to begin with, honestly, at all, because we're all being asked to put on that mask, media or not.
Yeah, mend, I think, is the word you're looking for. Yeah, we can totally mend.
Yeah, there we go. Unfracture. We can unfracture society.
I'm a mechanic, so I have to think of all these words when I'm writing service work orders. So that's my skill comes in handy in these cases. But there's that. But yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you on that. And mend society is what my goal has been this whole time. I want to bring people back together. And I've said this so many times. I'll talk to anybody. I'll bring on crazy lefties if they want to come onto the show and talk with me. Not a lot of them are accepting my offers, but the offer still stands. I'll definitely I'll entertain people who disagree with me completely, and not for the debate me bruh sort of thing, because I'm not there for debate. I'm in this for the the bringing of ideas and bring those forward. And how about consider this? How about consider that? And rather less than because the debate me bro, the internet blood sports that I'm sure you've seen it so much over the years. It's not. It becomes a sport at that point where you're like, who won this one, who lost that one, rather than can we have a discussion, bring up some cool ideas, bring up some shitty ideas and digest them so that we can know what works and what doesn't work, and everybody can come off better off. Confront some of your own ideas and come up with, have counter ideas, or people bring those things to the table, because, maybe you could be wrong. Maybe I'm wrong about things. And I'm happy to admit that I'm wrong if someone can show that to me. And it's not an adversarial thing. It's a everyone wants to be right? But I got a philosophy of I'll never be wrong if I always accept that I was wrong in the past. Because I'll always be right in the present. I'm always right because I found the thing that's right. And I can abandon bad ideas because they're bad ideas, right? If I'm shown that an idea that I have is bad, well, I'll abandon it. Absolutely. It's a good... That's
I'm not a big fan of when I see the kind of referees of political factions, the people who are saying, oh, no, you're veering too far into left-wing ideas. You're veering too far into right-wing ideas. You are not a purist. You're not one of us. They are completely and utterly ruining people's minds, ruining people's ability to have any free consideration or thought. It's those little referees, the paper pushers, the people that are always trying to keep everyone in line with whatever their little mission is. It's not good. Not a good trait.
No, it's not. I get it a bunch. On this channel because... there's a lot of fans of Pierre Poilievre on the channel. A lot of people are looking forward to him becoming the next Prime Minister of Canada. I think it's a shoo-in. He's going to get it. I mean, that's just kind of where I think it's going.
Inject that hopium right into my veins.
Okay. So, but I also have a lot of PPC fans that love Maxime Bernier, and they think that Max has a role and all this other stuff, right? But I take a more of a neutral stance. I think that Pierre Poilievre is going to become the Prime Minister of Canada. I don't think Maxime Bernier has a future in politics in Canada. I mean, maybe he does in one seat or another seat, or possibly he could grow it in the future, but he's not going to be the next Prime Minister by any stretch of the imagination. So Pierre Poilievre will be, in my opinion, I think that's going to happen. But I don't think he's going to be the savior everybody wants. Right. And
you can't make anyone into saviors. No one.
No, exactly. But what I get on this channel is I'll speak, if Pierre does something I disagree with, I'll speak ill of him. I'll come out and call him out. Right.
Good.
So after the Million March, I came out and I spoke my piece about how he was just silent on that day. Trudeau slandering these people. Jagmeet Singh slandering these people, and Maxime Bernier, he came out to the protests. We went to them. I thought it was a little distasteful. He had all his placards everywhere. He made it like a PPC thing instead of what it was. Other people told me, you're wrong, he's not distasteful. So I get pushback either way. If I don't say that this person's the best, if I don't say that that person's the best. But I don't know. I could lose all my subscribers tomorrow for an opinion that I have. I'm still going to keep my opinion. I'm not going to change the way I think.
Very, very important to cull your audience every once in a while. Say something that comes out of left field and see if they can handle it. Like just something that is going to challenge their preconceived notions. Your own audience, like, are they capable of thinking in a way that is different from one linear, realm of thought, whether that be conservative or liberal. You got to throw them a curveball and then see if they can handle it, because you want an audience that can handle that. I'm so sorry. I do have to run in a minute here.
Yeah, no problem.
Is actually about to die.
Okay.
So I don't know if you wanted to wrap up.
Yeah, I'll wrap up. So I want to thank everybody for coming out. There's a few more super chats that I'm going to get to really quick here. We've got Rainmaker with a $5 super chat says, haha, a bit more for the jail joke. A little salt here. And Rob Hellfire saying, Lauren is awesome. I admire your work. Your documentaries are top notch. Don't stop. Keep up the great work. Cheers. Michael McLean says, Lauren's South Africa documentary was awesome. Clyde, I would protect you and Lauren with my freedom because you both protect us with yours. Awesome. Thank you so much. Steve's Hyde says, talking about coming out of your shell. I love the zooming in on your face lately. So that's something I've been doing, just joking around with the audience here. But I want to thank everybody for coming out to this. Lauren, stay on the line. I have a few words with you after the stream goes up. And I'll see everybody else in the Discord in a little bit. If you're not a fan of the Discord, or you're not a member of the Discord, the link is in the description down below. You can check that out. It's another social media platform where we can have good voice and video conferencing. It's a great time for people to come in and ask me questions or ask each other questions. It's all about the community. So get in on that if you're privy to that. But other than that, Lauren Southern, thank you so much for joining me tonight. It's been a pleasure and just amazing to have this conversation with you.
Thank you so much for having me.